But it is episode 138 of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I am B Money, the producer. That over there is the talent weekend. Trav, we are here in studio. It's been a while, but we wanted to recap a couple big things that's been happening over the past weekend. We're going to talk, obviously, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou here in a few moments, but we wanted to jump on the fights that we were at on this past Friday, and that was Amanda Serrano taking on Danila Ramos in history making, right?
History, yep.
First time in history for the titles. We had women's boxing championship boxing, 12 rounds, 3 minutes a round. First time in history. Not just Amanda Serrano involved in that, folks. Also Danila Ramos in the other corner. So we don't want to take any credit away from her as well. She was part of the history-making efforts. But Weekend Trav, wow, what an event here in Orlando, Florida, at the Caribe Royale. Where do we start with it?
Oh my gosh, the Puerto Ricans come out for their fans. Oof. So let's just give them a lot of credit for supporting their fans. They've supported Amanda Serrano, deservingly so. Yeah. She's amazing, and she always does deliver. But yeah, she's the IBF, WBA, and WBO world champion. She's the unified champ. It's the first time a unified champ has ever did 12 3-minute rounds in the women's boxing. Phenomenal.
For the belts.
For all the belts, and they were on the line. And you're so right, B-Money. B-Money made a very good point when we were talking about this. We're sitting at the fights. We were ringside, second row. We were talking about the fights, and B-Money was like, Trav, you realize that Danila Ramos is also part of this history making, and I was like, "You're right."
I just think it gets lost. It gets lost in that because obviously Amanda Serrano is the much more well-known of the two. She's going to get the ESPN highlights. She's going to get the notoriety, and rightfully so. All right, but we wanted to also make sure, mention, there's two people in the ring.
In the history books, it's going to have Amanda Serrano versus Danila Ramos as the first 12-round, 3-minute round fight. So you're right though. Her name is in the record books forever.
Now in that fight, she lost, but I think she won the marathon of that fight because she was running circles around the ring, staying away from Amanda Serrano's power.
And you could tell that's why I do like Amanda Serrano. I think that's why a lot of people like her, is because in the women's boxing, you generally don't see a lot of knockouts, correct, B-Money? That's why I think it's not as popular as the men's boxing overall, because some of them are. But Amanda Serrano goes for it. Every single round, she was constantly pressing. And I think even the announcers, by the way, were just like, no way that she can keep this pace up for 12 3-minute rounds.
And she did.
She didn't fade.
They both, actually, to be honest, they both pretty solid. Yeah. Pretty solid for all the 12 rounds at 3 minutes a pop. And, if you were in the audience, or if you were watching on DAZN, watch the event and watch this fight, you'll recognize the fact it was very, very good, high quality boxing itself. Not just the 3-minute deal, not just the 12 rounds, not just for the belts, but the fact that just the talent level, it's so far and away much better than things like we talk about, like the OnlyFans championship coming up, in a handful of weeks. And I call it that. It's not really that, but I call it that. But I think what tends to overshadow the talent pool in women's boxing is the spectacle that some women get in the ring, and it's just a travesty to the sport.
I like it.
This was not. No, this was not.
You're right, and I think a lot of the other women's boxers though right now are actually probably not liking Amanda Serrano because Amanda Serrano raised the bar. She's a trailblazer. She is. She raised the bar for every single woman out there, and I love to see that because she really did. She's like, I'm not getting paid any extra or any less for doing this. She's getting paid a set amount regardless of how many rounds she does. And the fact that she chose, and I think that's what people don't realize, is Amanda Serrano chose to fight 12 3-minute rounds. She did not have to. It's 10 2-minute rounds for women's boxing. Think about that. 10 2-minute rounds is 20 minutes of actual fighting, 1 minute between for rest, but 20 minutes of actual fighting. She goes from 20 minutes of actual fighting to 36 minutes of actual fighting, almost double, because she wanted to.
And it's not that she got paid more to do more minutes or anything like that, which that tends to be some of the arguments that you get, like a Michaela Mayo and others saying, well, I'm only going to do 2 minutes until they pay us for 3 minutes. No, that's not the way it works, okay? That's not the way it works. So it was great, and it brought the stars out from historical women's boxing. We had several names there. We have photos of you and I. We have Holly Holm was there. We have
Layla Ali.
Layla Ali was there.
Christy Martin.
Who she comes to a lot of those Box Lab shows there.
She's
in
in a
Orlando.
promotion now. She actually had a fighter that fought that night.
That's right.
A guy who we'll talk about in a little bit. He's the one that upset the other guy. But
Yes.
that was a Christy Martin protege.
Yeah. We had, there's the stars were there. We had Edgar Berlanga, not a women's fighter, but he was there. Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, we had so many out there. We had up-and-comer too, Ashton Sylvie, who's signed by MVP Promotions.
That's right.
We had Jorge Linares was there,
Yep.
who just announced his retirement, but this guy's phenomenal.
And I always forget her name. Who? She's also with Jake Paul, the women's fighter, who they announced in the ring.
With Ashton Sylvie too.
Yeah. So take it a look, because she's going to be taking on our show's personal favorite, Francon Cruz Dezern or Dezern Cruz.
Dezern Cruz.
Whatever.
I'm going to look that up because they'll probably have it scheduled.
Savannah Marshall. She might have just handed those belts to Savannah Marshall back a couple months ago. She should have.
Shadasia Green, I
believe
yeah. Who is 13-0, and they're fighting December 15th at the Crib Royale.
Yeah, and that should be she should wipe the floor with her.
You would think, and we've watched, and the reason why me and Bunny have such an opinion about Cruz Dezern is because we actually were ringside. I had a girl that I trained that fought Francon Cruz and lost the decision over 8 rounds. Very sloppy, ugly fight it was. It was on both parts for sure.
Yep.
But Ashley Curry was her name. She's a girl that we trained.
And Ashley will admit that too.
Yeah, for sure. But Ashley is a girl that's not supposed to go the distance with a world champion and make it look ugly. It was an ugly fight. There was not a dominant fight.
And at the time, Francon had not been handed a world championship. So let's keep that in mind. That wasn't for belts, but it was like kind of next to mine.
But she was a world champion though at the time still.
Oh, was she? I don't know.
But
Paper champ.
You're right though. And that was on the undercard of Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell.
So yes,
we were there for
several
that
years.
live.
A couple.
It was
several
2021,
years ago.
January of 2021.
Let's not waste any more airtime on her or that. But
so Shadisa Green is her name, and she's phenomenal. She was sitting right by us actually. So it was kind of cool to see all those stars. You're right, B Money. And I know that. So we didn't actually get to watch the telecast on TV because we were there, but I'm sure they showed even more people. But Paulie Malignaggi was ringside because he was a commentating crew. There was a lot of big time stars there, which is awesome to see because it's right here in our backyard.
Including Weekend Trav and B Money, the producer. We were there too, so we appreciate anybody taking the time to say hello to us.
We do appreciate it. We're kind of halfway, not really, but trying to be such a big deal.
Yeah, so Amanda Serrano victorious there. That moves her to 46-2-1. Can you believe that?
That is amazing. And you know what's also cool is we'd found out these cool little stats. So this Caribe Royale ballroom it's not huge. It's not a stadium like, right? They did 3,500 ticket sales, 3,500 plus.
That's called sellout,
ticket
folks.
sales. And they also, the live gate was $230,000. Why that matters is because Amanda Serrano, when she fought at the Hulu Garden, Madison Square Garden, they sold 6,000 tickets there, and they were just over $230,000 there. Amanda Serrano did that right here in Central Florida with almost half the capacity of a crowd, and she still did the live.
But
people come out for boxing.
That crowd was rocking that night. So
my
kudos.
God, Saturday night was amazing.
Kudos to Most Valuable Promotions, as well as Box Live Promotions, as well as Celsius Live Fit, who was there also sponsoring the event.
Massive props to Box Lab for starting all of this at Crib Royale. They've done almost all of their events there. We've been going for two and a half years, 3 years now. I can't remember how long it's been now because once we started the podcast, they started going. We started going to those guys, and we met them, and we're like, these guys are good. They're going to put Central Florida on the map. And
it already is there right now.
They've put them more than on the map.
I mean, I'd be curious to see when the stats are out how many, not buys, but how many eyeballs were on the DAZN with that one. Here's my one critique, because there's always a critique, and that's good. You should listen to critique and move forward. I won't even say critique. What I'm going to say is suggestion.
Constructive criticism.
But I'm going to say suggestion for the fans.
Okay.
Not for the guys with Box Lab and whatever. For the fans. If you're going to go to a show there, like an upcoming show that we'll talk about in a few moments as well. If you're going to go to a show at the Caribe, go a bit early, go to the hotel bar and lounge and poolside, get some cocktails. That way you've parked early. If you're trying to arrive for the pre-card fights and it's a big-time card with Amanda Serrano on it, it's going to take a while to get parking. It's going to take a while to find a spot.
So I think what B-Money is saying is probably Uber there. That'd probably be the best idea.
You're still stuck in the car?
Because drop you off and get out, though, because the parking, I don't know that they were expecting to be that big because it was that big, and they were kind of running around the parking area. It was very packed.
But they made it work. They made it work. But for future reference, if you were a spectator, go a little early, show Caribe Royale some love, go to the hotel bars, one of them, I think there's more than one, have a cocktail or two, get a little sauced up, a little liquored up, and then go over to the event and continue to drink the night away while watching some great boxing action. Weekend Trav, what else from this event? Because we were excited to be there on the second row ringside. What else were you catching from an action standpoint with this event here this past Friday?
There's this guy that we've seen fight a couple of times now, and I've been pretty high on him because he was only 5-0, I believe, going into the fight. He won. His name is Damian Lescaille. Cubano.
Yeah.
So he's trained by Ronnie Shields, who's a Hall of Fame trainer. He's trained a lot of world champions. But this kid's only 6-0 now. He's a lefty, and he finished the night on his fight. At least he finished his night. Yeah, his night in spectacular highlight reel knockout. However, the constructive criticism there was that fight was not exciting until it was.
Yeah.
And it was 9 rounds of, you're like, he could just do more. He looked a little stale. He looked a little not there.
Little
not
tentative,
snappy.
But he found it. I think it was at the very end of round 9 of 10, I believe. So correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
And I could have sworn that they had already pounded the wood or whatever, right? It was at like last 10 seconds of the round. Like it was finishing time for the round, and I can't remember his opponent, but his opponent was not paying attention.
No.
And
Ray Barlow.
Yeah, and that was knockout of the night for sure at this event.
100%. That was more than knockout just of that night. That was a highlight.
That's probably one to look at maybe towards the end of the year when we're looking for knockouts of the year.
The level of that,
we're a little biased because we were there,
yeah.
And we saw spit fly. But
it was a great fight. There were some other really good fights on that card too. I have to mention really fast: Alexander Rios Vega 7-0 versus Benigno Aguilar, who is 10-0. From Crescent City, California, I believe. And Alexander Rios is from, I think he's a local guy because he had a big fan. No, he's from St. Cloud, Florida. Oh my gosh, super local by way of Puerto Rico. But this kid's exciting. He was 7-0 going into the fight. He fought a 10-0 guy. I think it's phenomenal when these guys like to step up because nowadays I hope people know that one loss in boxing is nothing in the world now.
No.
Fight these good fights. TV likes that. Fans love that. Even though Rios lost, he fought. It was a very close fight. He went down, but it was a very close fight. I do think it was very close. I think it was a split decision even. But I think that the correct guy did win.
I think so too.
But the fans won.
Yeah.
That fight was just back and forth. And Rios brought the fans.
Came to the ring dressed like the guy from Madagascar. I don't know. So my constructive criticism there, Weekend Trav. I get it. You want to get the fans involved, and I think that helps. I mean, he's come out, I think, as a Power Ranger and stuff like that.
It's been different a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Focus on the fight.
So
at this point, focus on the fight.
But B-Money, what have we said before, though? We've said this before. If anybody can take anything from the YouTubers like the Jake Pauls and those guys, they're bringing entertainment value. So when these kids do this, we can't put them down for this. I applaud the effort.
Don't come out as a Pixar character, or not Pixar, DreamWorks character.
I wouldn't even know
from Madagascar. Dude, I can't help it. It's my kids are older now, but I've seen all these movies, and I'm a Universal pass holder.
He delivered because he put up a heck of a fight.
It was a great fight.
If you do that and you go out and get knocked out, then not so good. But he put up a hell of a fight.
But there's a part of me that says, you know what? It almost feels like a joke in the ring walk sometimes. Like you've put too much thought into the ring walk.
But I appreciated it.
Yeah, you appreciate it to a point, but and yes, the last fight he had, he won obviously, but him and everyone's walking out of a different power range. I'm like, I feel like too much thought's been put into this rather than the actual fight and the opponent.
I think we need 2 sets of those people, and we got that. So I think on a card, I think we need kind of the crazy out there, outside the box guys, and then we need the guys like Antonio Vargas, who went to the ring with some gospel music, walked straight to the ring, walked in the ring, very God-fearing guy, delivered, won a unanimous decision, and I'm good for him. Antonio Vargas, great job.
Yes, I'm happy he won, and
we need a mixture of that.
But
I think
even ringside during Vargas's fight, we're sitting there thinking, he just needs that killer instinct, that finisher instinct.
Hurt the guy early. That guy's a former world champion.
To me, watching that fight, and this is, once again, I think he's great. I think Antonio Vargas is wonderful. We've seen him fight several times and support him completely. It just felt like he was happy being up on rounds.
Yeah, I don't know their thought process of him because we obviously weren't in the corner or their game plan. I think that they probably this is my opinion, that watching that fight, I think that as a coach, you're probably looking at the other guy who's a former world champion who can punch. You're winning this entire fight. Don't do something stupid and get caught. So maybe that's where, I'm not sure if that's where he was at, or if he always will fight like that no matter what.
That might just be how it is.
Because he's very good technical fighter for sure, and maybe he just doesn't have that knockout ability, so he needs to be in the ring with somebody where they can force him to kind of dig down deep. I don't know, but he won. He beat a former world champion. It was
decisive. So I think that was our gripe during the fight. It was like, it's pretty decisive. You're winning, but it's like, maybe if you just put the gas pedal down a little further.
Yeah, and that's the beauty and the beast of boxing, is the fact that at any given second, you can be ended.
As we mentioned from the Les Caillé fight.
He was winning the whole fight, though, too.
He was winning the whole fight, but
he put the gas on, right? Like, he
in the last 10 seconds of round 9, and that's what happened.
And was lights out.
Yeah.
It was left, right, good night.
Yes, that right hook.
Good night.
You can find that on Instagram.
We spent a lot of time on this, but it was a great show. Box Lab, thank you so much. MVP Promotions, Jake Paul's promotion company. Yes. It was amazing. Amanda Serrano delivered. The Puerto Rican fans came out. I want to emphasize to people that not just the Puerto Rican fans. Like, come on, guys. Like, we all got to come out and support these people. I genuinely do believe this. It's going to sound bad, but I don't care, because Floyd Mayweather's even mentioned something like this. Americans don't really get behind their athletes as much as Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, even English, the UK. They used to come in droves for Ricky Hatton. There's only one Rick, but they don't do that for Americans. I'm not sure why that is exactly, because we're a melting pot.
I have a thought. I have a theory.
Puerto Rico's a smaller island, but Mexico's pretty big.
I have a theory, though.
It's pretty big.
I have a theory is that, when you look at the United States anyways and how spread out we are geographically, but also take into account how many dominating professional sports we actually have through the United States. And so I think you start to gravitate towards various things and not everything, right? So, for instance, we're big football fans. But then you could even break that down further. You have a professional team. Do you follow college? Some people don't even like college or pros. They follow one or the other.
Yeah.
I
don't watch college.
I just have a feeling when you look at certain fan bases, especially coming from, and not, once again, not discrediting a whole, set of people, but if you don't have that majority of sports pouring through your country, because the country's small or whatever it might be, or island based,
that's why I get Puerto
behind
Rico.
Yeah, you get behind those athletes for sure. All your chips are on the table behind them. We are so spread out. We have all these sports: baseball, football, basketball, blah blah blah, WNBA. We have a lot to support.
This is true, but I still wish they would do better.
Congratulations, Aces, or the Las Vegas team? No, the Las Vegas team.
I don't know, B-Money.
Congratulations to the WNBA Las Vegas, whoever your mascot is.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know.
No, I think they won their title. There's 4 or 5 teams in the WNBA now.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Weekend Trev.
I genuinely really am not sure.
So
I spend too much time with boxing.
We're going to put a bow on this event here. This was MVP 3, okay? Most Valuable Prospects 3. It was on DAZN this past Friday. It was coming to you from Orlando, Florida at the Caribe Royale. It's brought to you by Most Valuable Promotions as well as Box Lab Promotions, sponsored by Celsius. Live Fit. Live Fit. I love that you do that. Weekend Trev. Let's move on.
Great. We're going to open up another can of worms with this.
This is a big can of worms because this fight happened, if we want to call it a fight. This happened the next day. This was Saturday, and it was one Tyson Fury taking on Francis Ngannou, billed as the Battle of the Baddest. Was that it? Just so. Battle of the Baddest?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
Battle of the Baddest.
Michael Jackson, I'm bad. I'm bad. You know it. Come on. Battle of the Baddest. Tyson Fury squeaks out, split decision. Yeah. Some people are calling it a robbery, a travesty. Some people are saying it was a mockery, sham mockery.
3 words: travesty, a sham, and a mockery. Travis sham mockery.
Some people are saying that's what it was. You have cage fighting fans, MMA fans up in arms, thinking Francis Ngannou won this. You have boxing purists, boxing fans saying, "Listen, no, you didn't. Here's why." And then you have everyone in the middle saying, "Why did we spend $80 to watch this?" Weekend Trav, I'm going to toss that one to you, because as one that did spend $80 to watch this.
I did not. I didn't pay a cent for this.
I watched we don't want to say how
I watched it. Nope. I watched it at a friend's house.
Oh, there we go.
So
you should have at least given him some cash.
Dave Schroeder, I'm sorry, but I couldn't. because I proclaimed on here and everywhere else that I wasn't going to pay a cent for that, and I didn't. So Dave, I apologize, but I wasn't paying a cent for that. So I watched it with some friends. Me and the wife went over to Dave Schroeder.
Did you bring him? Did you bring him like some Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell? Did you bring him anything?
I brought some Blantons over. And I brought some Blantons left over from the night of the fights.
So
with
good.
Frankie
You brought him
Lewis.
some leftover.
We love you guys.
He brought leftover bourbon to watch this. Okay.
I mean, leftover Blantons be money.
So let's talk. So Tyson Fury, when we recorded last week, episode 137, it's there on YouTube and everywhere else. At the time, Tyson Fury was a minus 1,500 favorite. I think you mentioned in your reaction video, which is also on YouTube. You can catch it on Instagram, all that stuff. Find it, watch it. He gives a good take. He's probably going to break it down a little bit here too. I think you said he was minus 1,400 by the time the bell went off. What happened? What happened in this fight?
I mean, if you remember way back almost 7 years ago when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, that fight in the first like 6 rounds was super shaky. It was super. You're like, oh my gosh, like Conor's not bad, and he wasn't. Conor was pretty good. You were, and then Floyd turned it on and knocked him out in the 11th round. Okay. This time, I kind of thought that was going to happen again, and I predicted we were at the friend's house watching. I was like, "Listen, something crazy is going to happen early," and guess what? It did. I literally said, "I was like, something crazy is going to happen early, guys." But then later down the stretch, Tyson's going to take over like he should. Okay, and guess what happened? That didn't happen. So it was a very underwhelming performance by Tyson Fury. When you are the heavyweight champion of the world, lineal heavyweight champion of the world, undefeated, nobody's touched you. I mean, he's been down 7 times now, by the way. 7 times.
Which is a pretty big stat, to be honest with you.
You know what's an awesome stat, though, is he's been down 7 times.
He's gotten up 7 times.
And he's gotten up 7 times. That's the only stat that actually really matters, because he's never been knocked out.
That's like a final thought. You should have saved that for the final thought.
But, so the fight was, listen, oh my goodness, like Ngannou, I don't want to say Ngannou impressed me, because I don't take anything from him at all. I don't. He did very well for a novice boxer at best.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And that is not talking smack on him. He'll tell you that he's an MMA guy. He never boxed. He actually went to a boxing gym, and they told him you could go pro in MMA faster. So I'm gonna go over.
He didn't look bad in the ring.
He looked like he knew what he was doing. He looked a little more put together than his videos that I saw.
We've seen worse heavyweights.
100%. I think that it was his size that gave Fury a little problems, because Fury's fought people that are tall, not as tall as him, but taller, but always lankier. I mean, Deontay Wilder's like 215, 220 at most, right? Deontay Wilder was outweighed by over 50 pounds when he fought Tyson Fury. So I think Tyson Fury's weights allowed him to like lean on people, kind of push him around a little bit. And I think early on he felt Ngannou, when he would do the jab, he did perfect. He did good with his jab, and that's what won Tyson Fury the fight, by the way. On my scorecard, that's why, because he did the jab and it was good. Tyson Fury has a great jab, pops it out there, sets his right hand up, but his right hand wasn't landing as flush, and when it did land flush, this 270-pound man, Ngannou, he absorbed his power, and he didn't have the same effect that it had other people. And I don't think Tyson Fury was expecting that. Tyson Fury claims that he trained his butt off for this fight. It said Tyson Fury weighed 277, which is only 1 pound past when he beat Deontay Wilder. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because I seen his body, and Tyson Fury doesn't have the best body, obviously, right? He doesn't. He's a man that doesn't have a physique like Ngannou, but he looked extra. He looked like he was carrying 15 to 20 extra pounds. He did. Right. So I don't believe that he took this fight and was fully prepared and all of that stuff. Even though he's not making any excuses, I respect that. Tyson Fury said, "Hey, man, I came out there, I trained my butt off, I gave my best effort, and that's what it was." He goes, "Don't take anything from Ngannou."
And his face looks touched up today.
It is, and very much touched up. He did get touched. He got touched a little bit.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. My scorecard, I posted on our Weighing In with Travis Harmon Instagram page. You can give me grief, whatever you want. I gave 3 rounds to Ngannou. The 1 round where he knocked him down, he won that round. Even though nothing happened before that knockdown, but that knockdown won him in the round, 10-8. Then there was 2 other rounds I gave him. There was 1 or 2 rounds that, were really close. But overall, Tyson Fury controlled the fight. It was a boxing match, okay? It was a boxing match. Tyson Fury knows how to win boxing matches. He figured it out towards the very end. I'm probably going to win on points, so I better get my jab going. I better move out of the way. I better hold him and get out. It was not a good look for Tyson Fury. So Tyson Fury won, but Tyson Fury also lost. Meaning, every person that watched that fight now, they're looking at Tyson Fury like, bro, you won, but like, come on, bro. You fought somebody who you were supposed to murder.
You were supposed to, yeah.
And in my video, I said this, and this is my example was, it's like an NFL team playing a high-level college team. It's a lose-lose, really. You're supposed to beat the college team by a lot. Mm-hmm. And even if you barely beat them, everybody's going to make fun of you. They're going to be like, you should have killed these guys. You're professional. They're college. Same thing with Tyson Fury. You're the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, which is a very coveted title. He should have did more. He should have beat him easily. And I want to make sure everybody knows this. This was in no way, shape, or form a robbery. This was a massively close fight. If you gave it to Ngannou by 1 point, the 95-94, I'm not complaining. There was 2 rounds on my scorecard, at least 2 rounds where they were super close, but I thought he edged it out. Fury did because he landed a couple more jabs and a couple more right hands. And that's the only reason. You're a couple punches away from having Ngannou win that fight.
That knockdown was second or third? I can't remember.
Third round, I believe.
Yeah, so I think the people complaining are all focused on round 3. Okay,
which is how it usually is.
So many rounds beyond that. The disservice to this fight going in is the fact that I think all of us kind of alluded to the whole, what you mentioned earlier a few minutes ago was Mayweather, McGregor, like kind of almost saying, it's going to be kind of like that, right? Where wink, wink, this is kind of the way it's going to go. Yeah, okay, we're going to showcase what you got. We're going to showcase a little what we got. We're both going to walk out of this looking okay.
And the guy who's supposed to win is going to win.
We're just going to laugh afterwards because of how much money we made and continue to make. Yeah. And that's the way that fight went, Mayweather-McGregor. We knew it.
Yeah.
And we all watched it. And we all watched it.
I did.
And so I kind of thought about the same thing. Before Saturday, I'm like, dude, this is going to be the same thing. It's just going to be bigger guys, but it's going to be very, very similar. And it just didn't quite go to that script. And so that's why I think now you get every talking head all up in arms about it. But ultimately, it's like, you know what? Good for Ngannou. And I think the rumors are trying to get him ranked top 10 somewhere on some fantasy list. Okay, whatever.
He's 0-1 as a pro boxer now.
0-1 as a pro boxer, but he did his first professional fight.
Impressive.
Toe-to-toe with Tyson Fury.
It's a win. So this whole night was a win for Ngannou. This is why I'm going to tell Tyson Fury this. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Okay? You played a stupid game on even doing this fight because, one, this is why I had a UFC friend who's a massive UFC homer.
Yep.
And he was like, oh my God, Ngannou's going to beat him, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, this is a joke of a fight. And what I meant by the joke of a fight is this is a joke that a guy making his pro debut is allowed to fight the lineal heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
It's a joke in that manner that Tyson Fury has other guys that he should be fighting. He should be fighting Usyk. He should be fighting Joshua. Yeah. He should be fighting any of those other guys coming up. The fact that he fought Ngannou in Ngannou's pro debut, I thought was a joke.
That was the only significant difference with Mayweather-McGregor is that Mayweather his career's over.
He was retired for like 2 years. At that point? He was over 40. He retired for over 2 years.
So that was the bigger difference. So we can try.
Ngannou's older.
My whole thing is this. It's like I'm just tired of these weird circus fights, these weird types like all the YouTube stuff that we've talked about before endlessly, which don't get me wrong, it helped bring a different kind of fan base in, but now their expectation going forward is completely jaded and distorted. If you were a fan that got brought in by one of the Paul brothers or KSI or somebody like that, or even this, you have to respect the sport that you are drawn to now because it's not exactly what you think. It's not all this crazy glitz and glamour all the time. It's not these circus acts, okay, at $80 a pop. Get down to the pugilism. Get down to the purity of the sport. Get down to the dance that is boxing because it's different. It's different. And we've said this countless times on this program. It is not MMA. Two different buckets. That is why you're not going to get a boxer going to MMA. Why would they? You
never see it because we know that we have spent our whole life on one discipline. Which is why we should be better. And 9 times out of 9.5 times we are.
Both sides athletes, 100%. But it's just a different sport. And the money's different. Why would a boxer ever go the other way?
He wouldn't.
You want to come up to where the money is because the money is in boxing. We've said that countless times here.
I only go one way, be money.
Well, there you go. That's good. That's good to know. Back home. So Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou.
We like the man dance, as Mike Perry says. We like the man dance.
Yeah. It didn't exactly go to script. Not saying there was a script, but if there was, which I kind of assumed there kind of was, it didn't exactly go the way we thought. And so it doesn't matter the day or two after when you look at photos of both guys. That's just for clickbait.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yes, Tyson Fury's face is more touched up. Okay. But ultimately, per the stats, he landed more.
He outlanded him. He landed at a higher percentage, and which means he made Ngannou miss more. And that's essentially, you can't judge a fight just based on CompuBox. You can't. Right. But when it's that, when you outthrow him, outland him, and at a higher percentage, what does that tell you? Get the emotions out of it.
Other than the one highlight in round 3, it was pretty consistent throughout the course of every round. That's kind of what, other than one or two other rounds.
It's like that in boxing, is you have to explain to people that one knockdown is one knockdown. It accounts for one extra point.
I mean, listen,
that's it.
The same thing is when you cross over to the UFC side, it's by the round. You get scored very similarly on the rounds. If it's a 5-round title fight in the UFC and somebody is, kind of boring but dominant for 4 rounds, but then in the 5th round, the other guy turns it on and is like, oh, that's what we all remember. He should have won. No, the other guy won the first 4 rounds, and scoring dictates exactly that. Right. That is what it is. So,
and I want to tell everybody, because I've been commenting on this, and they're realizing it now. It was a close fight. Everybody's like, oh, it should have been a draw. It was so close. Well, here's the deal. No, it actually
couldn't have been.
Physically, points-wise, could not be a draw. If there is a knockdown in a 10-round fight, if there is no other point deduction or anything like that, then there cannot be a draw. There has to be a winner. And the judges got it right. Their scorecards were exactly spot on.
It's just math, folks. It's just math.
I bet people's like, oh, yeah, it was a draw. I'm like, it couldn't have been a draw, no matter how even you think it was. It's scored. They score round 1. They sign the paper. They turn it over. Now they get a new sheet. They sign the paper. They turn it over. Now they got a new sheet. That's how judges judge professional boxing.
Well, that's how I'm going to judge our podcast so far. We're through 2 rounds of our podcast. And blah, blah, blah. We're probably at 2018. I think, well, there might have been a knockdown somewhere. We can Trav. So what we want to do for you listening at home, let's just go ahead and do a very, very rapid fire rundown of what's coming up, because I have issues so far the way that 2023 is wrapping up. I'll let you talk. Okay. But what else is coming up for us over the next handful of weeks?
I'm just going to wrap up the November schedule.
That sounds good.
Really fast, because we'll get to December later, because we have plenty to go over, because we're still in October. I'm loving it. So there's some fights on ESPN. Shakir Stevenson is fighting. I'm not going to say who he's fighting because it doesn't matter. Emmanuel Navarrete is fighting on ESPN. Big fight. DAZN, Diego Pacheco. Remember that name? I've talked about him before. Yeah. Actually, really good guy. November 25th on DAZN. Chantel Cameron versus Katie Taylor 2, I believe. Fight. Big fight, especially because Katie Taylor Serrano needs to happen in 2024. November 25th, David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade. Big fight because that's super middleweight division. And whose division is that? Canelo Alvarez's. This is a big fight.
Not going to happen.
B-Money does not think David Benavidez will fight Canelo Alvarez, but first of all, he does have to beat Demetrius Andrade first.
Yeah.
But if he does, I'm telling B-Money that I do believe that Canelo Alvarez in 2024, barring any major injuries, will fight David Benavidez.
You know what? We're going to bet a sip of swill on that. And, by the way, let me pause you for a second, because on last week's telecast, episode 137, I said Tyson Fury's father was going to at least lose his shirt by round 2 of his fight with Ngannou. Now, that's not quite,
I would have took that bet.
That's not quite a bet on the fight itself.
That's a good bet. I'm saying I would have took the bet like that.
Yeah, I felt very confident in that. I was probably a good minus 1,500 myself on that bet. But in fact, it didn't happen. He lost his shirt in the presser. He lost his shirt in the weigh-in. He actually got in front of the weigh-in.
Of course, yeah. He messed up the face-off.
So
John Fury.
Oh my gosh.
Peanuts. That smells like peanuts.
It's like a mix.
No, we mixed a bunch, didn't we?
Yes. That's why we call it swill.
So it's
on the bottle. That's what it is, swill. So I have to take a sip of it because I lost a bet.
B-Money's taking a thing of swill. And I want you guys to see that we got these really cool, what do you call these, coasters now? Let me put this up here.
Holy moly. I'm happy. I'm happy I've already had both my kids, because if I drink more of that, I won't be able to have any more. I'm just kidding. I can't have any anyways. I already took care of that.
It's sterile.
Oh my gosh, it's sterile, but I don't like the taste of that. Okay, sorry. What else is coming up?
That's it. That's our November rundown. That was it. November 25th rounds.
That Cameron Taylor fight. Don't sleep on that one. That's gonna be good.
Undisputed female title at 140 pounds.
Yeah, Cameron beat her. Is it also for the same titles that was the first time?
Yeah, I believe so, because they're running it back. I believe it is.
Yeah, so Cameron won the first one, and then so we'll see.
No. Cameron didn't win that.
Yeah, she did.
Cameron beat Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
Am I stupid right now?
Maybe I'm stupid because I just drank swill.
Ooh, good for you.
Look it up.
She's 22-1. You're 100% correct. She won a majority decision over 10 rounds for 2 minutes.
Because you know who at this table knows women's sports?
B-Money?
This guy.
I mean, I got a big nose, and they used to call me Nostradamus.
Yeah.
But B-Money was right.
The nose knows.
The nose knows. B-Money was right. You're right, dude. That's why. So they're running it right back. They fought in May. Now they're going to fight in November.
Big time fight.
It is.
And that's all you wanted to cover there.
Yep, that's it. Okay. That was I'm not going to talk about December until we get through November. I'm still proclaiming that 2023 is the best year of boxing in a really long time.
You keep calling it the Jordan year, and I'm just not so sure anymore. But if you reference it as 2023, the 23 part being the Jordan year, I will concede that maybe it's Washington Wizards, Michael Jordan, last year of his career. Because we started out strong this year, and it just it's fading into oblivion. I mean, look, other than obviously the Serrano fight was great. That was a great event. But Fury and Ngannou is what dominated highlights and headlines all weekend. And then what else are we finishing this year off with?
Amanda Serrano.
I'm talking about the next month and a half, 2 months. 2 months.
Well, you wouldn't let me go over December because I think there's some big fights in December.
Okay, but is there anything that's like,
Well, no, because we've already had all year.
No.
You can't deliver every single month.
So, by the way, you referenced it real quick. I don't think Canelo's going to is going to take Benavidez.
I think in May he fights either Munguia or somebody else.
I argued this point.
In September he fights Benavidez.
At the show with the boys.
As long as Benavidez wins.
Yeah, with Lewis and Frankie. I argued this point. I think he's going to fight whoever he's fighting,
in May.
In May. And then he wants Bivol.
I just think it's too long. It's been too long, and I think Bivol actually, the way it's lining up, and this is why I've made my prediction. The way it's lining up is Bivol will end up fighting Archer Beterbiev. Beterbiev fights in January, so the fact is, I think Bivol doesn't beat Beterbiev. I don't know. It's a great fight, but I just think that even if Canelo wanted to rematch Bivol, which I don't think he really wants to, and he shouldn't, their promotion shouldn't let him.
I think his pride wants him to.
He does, and that's fair. He's a great. The greats want to get those back, and they should. I just think, based on how things line up, and Weekend Trav loves to look at schedules and how they line up.
Oh my gosh!
If Benavidez keeps winning, okay, remember this. I gotta have if, because if Benavidez loses, obviously it's not gonna happen.
All of Weekend Trav's,
if he keeps
all
winning,
his bets have ifs.
Because it's boxing.
All
you know
these
how boxing
strings
is.
are tied to. I'm saying right out, he's not going to fight Benavidez. No strings. I don't need any explanation.
Wait, are you saying ever, or just 2024?
2024.
I think he does.
Okay. There we have it. We have a sip of swill as the bet on that.
Oh man, I don't remember making that bet.
Let your yes be yes and your no no. We don't even need a shake on it.
I have to.
My words are true. Weekend Trav, final thoughts.
Since I am 0% liberal, you know that my word is my bond, so we don't have to shake on it.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say if that wasn't zero?
Listen, I joke, guys. Come on, I joke. My final thoughts are that I don't have a good one this time around. I feel like I had a pretty decent one last time. It was pretty decent, I thought. But today, I don't. Boxing's awesome, as usual. Central Florida is becoming a hub for boxing.
It has become the hub. No more becoming. It is.
It has officially. B-Money, you're right. It has officially become the hub. J-Hub. It's the hub. Come on to Central Florida. Okay.
Shout out J-Hub. My final thought.
Give it to me.
I'm going to give you a quote.
Give it to me.
You ready for a quote?
Yep.
C.S. Lewis. You're going to get a little brain power today. Okay?
I know who this is.
So you like this. So
he's got good quotes.
Here's the quote. Aim at heaven and you will get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you will get neither. Shoot for the stars, folks. Get your priorities in line and aim for it.
Shoot for the stars. If you hit the moon, you're still doing something pretty good.
I guess. Well, that wasn't part of my thought, but sorry. The swill is kicking in. So on behalf of Weekend Trav over there, this is episode 138. Wayne and Travis Hartman. We appreciate your time. Catch us on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe below. Give us a thumb up for and also subscribe if you want to know next time we post something. I know Weekend Trav has his quick shots take on the Fury Ngannou fight. That's on there. Go ahead and click that. We have all the stats. We have his breakdown of every round. I'm not going to give it to you on this podcast, but click the other video and see it. Did I cover all the bases?
Everything you did.
Okay.
You didn't tell everybody how we're the number one podcast, though.
Yeah, the number one beards, bourbon, and podcast shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically Laureate Park, specifically in a boxing gym, and the second floor is said boxing gym, and the TH Boxing Facility podcast room shot on a Sunday or Monday. Today actually being Sunday, which drops on
Wednesday morning at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
In the world. And also, make sure next time you're out at the grocery store, 7-Eleven, or convenience store, go and find some Celsius Live Fit. That over there is the talent Weekend Trev.
That there is B Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. the man, the myth, the legend. Amen. God bless.
God bless.